Evening shadows stretched across the living room, the air thick with unspoken tension. Emily's hands trembled as she held the unopened letter. Her brother James paced, whispering, "I can't believe this is happening." A sudden knock on the door made them freeze. Their mother had been gone for years, yet here she was, standing on the porch, her eyes wide with unfamiliar regret. Emily's heart pounded. Every memory of abandonment flooded back. "Why now?" she muttered. James stepped closer, fists clenched, struggling between anger and curiosity. The door creaked open slowly. Silence, heavy and sharp, fell over the room. Outside, the last rays of sunlight caught her mother's face, revealing a mix of vulnerability and defiance. Emily's mind raced. Could she forgive, or was the past too heavy to lift? The tension thickened as the family braced for a confrontation that could change everything. Every heartbeat echoed loudly in the quiet house, anticipation tangling with fear and unresolved pain. Emily sank into the couch, heart still racing from the shock of seeing her mother. James leaned against the wall, arms crossed, muttering, "I thought we'd never face this." Their mother shuffled to the center of the room, hands clasped tightly, looking everywhere but at them. Tension hung like a storm cloud, each word unsaid cutting deeper than the last. Emily felt a mixture of anger, fear, and longing swirl in her chest. The past seemed alive in the corners of the room, whispering grievances and regrets. James' voice broke the silence. "We need answers now." Mother's gaze finally lifted, eyes shimmering with emotion, but the words caught in her throat. Silence stretched, heavy and suffocating, until Emily spoke, her voice trembling. "Why did you leave us?" A quiet plea, yet it carried the weight of years of abandonment. Every corner of the room seemed to echo her pain, the air thick with unresolved questions. James stepped forward, voice sharp with frustration. "Mom, this silence, it's unbearable. We grew up wondering if you'd ever come back." Emily's chest tightened and she nodded, tears threatening. Mother's shoulders slumped, guilt etched across her face. She whispered, "I thought leaving was the only way to protect you. I was wrong." Emily shook her head, confusion and anger warring within her. James clenched his fists, his voice breaking, "Protect us? By disappearing?" The room seemed to shrink around them, heavy with the ghosts of unspoken words and lost time. Emily's mind raced with every memory of neglect, each one a dagger twisting deeper into her chest. The mother took a hesitant step closer, but James held up his hand, stopping her. "Not yet," he said. The tension was palpable, each second stretching like an eternity. Emily finally found her voice, words trembling but firm. "We've spent years living in your absence. Do you understand what that does to a child?" Mother's eyes filled with tears, but she swallowed them, trying to compose herself. James shook his head, frustration etched on his face. "It's not just about us, it's about the choices you made." A heavy silence followed, punctuated only by the ticking of the wall clock. The past seemed to seep from the walls, each creak a reminder of old wounds. Mother's lips parted, but no words came. Emily's heart throbbed painfully, a storm of emotions brewing inside her. She clenched her fists, resisting the urge to scream, to demand the impossible. Time back. James looked to his sister, his expression a mix of anger and helplessness, both longing for answers that might never come. The room felt smaller, suffocating under the weight of decades of abandonment. Mother finally spoke, voice breaking under the weight of years. "I thought I was protecting you, but I only caused pain." Emily's chest tightened, tears brimming as she absorbed the confession. James' jaw clenched, his eyes searching hers for understanding. The room vibrated with unspoken questions, regrets, and fleeting hope. Emily exhaled slowly, trying to steady herself. "We need honesty now," she said softly. Mother nodded, glancing between them, unsure of where to start. Every object in the room seemed to hold memories, ghosts of laughter and sorrow, intertwined. James shook his head, conflicted, wanting to forgive, yet still bristling with betrayal. Emily's voice broke the silence again. "It's not just about leaving, It's about the silence that followed. Mother's gaze dropped, tears spilling over. The tension was raw, fragile, yet the first thread of dialogue in years connected them. The next morning brought no relief. Tension lingered like fog. Emily moved through the kitchen, hands wrapped around a mug, replaying last night's confrontation. James leaned against the counter, jaw tight, eyes fixed on the floor. Their mother attempted conversation, voice soft, but her words felt rehearsed. "I didn't know how to return," she admitted, looking anywhere but at them. Emily's chest tightened, each word stirring anger and disbelief. James' voice broke through, sharp and accusing. "You abandoned us, and now you expect apologies?" The room felt smaller, oppressive. Every movement weighted by unspoken accusations. Emily glanced toward the window, sunlight spilling across the floor, illuminating dust motes dancing in the tense air. A clock ticked loudly, marking the passage of a morning that felt endless. Mother's hands twisted nervously in front of her, a silent plea for understanding. The silence returned, punctuated only by the faint hum of the refrigerator, emphasizing the emotional distance between them. Every glance, every pause, held years of resentment threatening to explode. Emily decided to confront the lingering questions. "Mom, why did you really leave?" she asked, voice steady but trembling. James' eyes narrowed, disbelief etched in every line of his face. Mother swallowed, hesitating, before admitting, "I thought leaving would shield you from my mistakes, but I only caused more pain." Emily's shoulders sagged, anger mixing with sorrow. James clenched his fists, pacing the small space, muttering, "Shield us? You robbed us of years." The kitchen seemed suffocating, memories of birthdays and school events lost forever weighing down the room. Emily's mind flashed to nights spent wondering where their mother was, to moments when she wished someone would notice her absence. Mother's gaze softened, and for a fleeting second, the family seemed almost united in shared grief. But the unspoken questions lingered, heavier than any apology, a fragile balance between longing and resentment threatening to fracture further. Each breath was measured, careful, like walking on glass, afraid of breaking entirely. James finally exploded, slamming his palm against the counter. "You left without explanation. How could you expect us to understand?" Emily flinched at the volume, but didn't look away, silently pleading for peace. Mother's eyes brimmed with tears as she whispered, "I feared failing you, and leaving seemed easier than staying." Emily's heart ached with betrayal. The words rang hollow against the years of absence. James turned sharply, fists clenched, his voice shaking. "Easier? You called destruction easier?" The room seemed to vibrate with raw emotion, walls echoing their confrontation. Emily felt the weight of both their pain pressing down, a suffocating pressure she couldn't escape. Even the morning sunlight felt harsh, exposing every wrinkle of guilt on their mother's face. Silence fell briefly, broken only by the slow ticking of the clock, each second stretching unbearably. Emily reached for a calming breath, trying to temper the storm, knowing that the family's fragile peace hung by a thread, ready to snap with any misstep. Emily took a slow step toward her mother, voice quivering but determined. "We need honesty, no excuses." Mother nodded, her hands shaking slightly as if grounding herself against the storm of emotions. James muttered under his breath, pacing, "We deserve the truth, not apologies." Emily's gaze softened, her frustration battling compassion, memories of childhood longing surfacing. Mother inhaled, summoning courage, revealing, "I had debts, choices I feared you would suffer through if I stayed. I thought my absence would protect you." James froze mid-step, disbelief etched into his posture. Emily's chest constricted, the weight of every missed moment pressing on her. The room was silent except for soft creaks and distant city sounds filtering through the window. The air felt dense, charged with the energy of unresolved truths, a family teetering on the edge of revelation and further heartbreak. Emily and James exchanged a glance, unspoken questions hanging between them. "We need clarity," Emily said softly, "on everything that happened." Mother exhaled, voice quivering. "I hid letters, avoided calls, ran from the truth. I can't change the past. James' fists unclenched slightly, but his eyes remained stormy. Voice low. It's not just the past. It's the life we lost. Emily's chest ached with simultaneous empathy and frustration. The room seemed suspended in time, sunlight shifting across their faces, illuminating tears and tension. Mother's gaze dropped, shame evident in every line of her face. Emily's mind raced, recalling years of absence and longing, while James' energy buzzed with unresolved rage. Words were heavy, emotions raw, and yet for the first time a fragile bridge of dialogue formed, tentative but real, hinting at the possibility of understanding if they could navigate the pain together. Tension escalated as James slammed the kitchen table, rattling the mugs. "This isn't just about apologies," he shouted, eyes blazing. Emily flinched, but stayed rooted, her hands clenched. Mother's lips trembled, voice barely audible. "I know I caused irreparable damage," she admitted, eyes downcast. Emily's chest tightened, the weight of years pressing on her shoulders. James paced, muttering. "We were left to fend for ourselves, left in the dark." The sunlight cut through the blinds, illuminating dust particles like memories suspended in air. Emily's mind raced, recalling sleepless nights and unanswered questions. She finally spoke, voice firm yet quivering. "We need the truth, no matter how painful." Mother lifted her gaze, revealing a flicker of guilt and fear. The air in the room felt charged, every heartbeat echoing the unresolved anger, fear and longing of a family fractured by absence and betrayal. Emily and James moved to the living room, the air thick with unspoken resentments. "You left us to face the world alone," Emily said softly, voice cracking under the weight of years. James paced near the window, fists clenched, muttering, "Do you even realize what we lost?" Mother sat in the armchair, hands clasped, trembling, whispering, "I thought leaving would spare you pain, but I only added more." Emily's chest ached, anger and sorrow warring within her. James turned sharply, his voice raw with emotion. "Spare us? You destroyed everything." The room felt stifling, shadows from the curtains emphasizing the emotional distance between them. Emily's gaze softened slightly, torn between rage and a flicker of compassion. Mother's eyes glistened, pleading silently for forgiveness. The tension was palpable, each second stretching unbearably, as memories of abandoned holidays and lonely birthdays hovered in the corners of the room. Emily finally confronted her mother directly, voice steady but trembling. "We need to know everything, no more half-truths." James stopped pacing, breathing heavy, his fists unclenching slightly. Mother's eyes filled with tears, gaze dropping to her lap. "I had choices, debts and fears that I thought would hurt you if I stayed. I ran," she confessed. Emily's mind flashed to all the lonely nights and missed milestones. James shook his head, disbelief etched in every line, muttering, "Running didn't protect us, it left scars." The sunlight shifted through the blinds, painting streaks of gold across the floor, illuminating the weight of years. Emily's hands tightened, anger and sorrow merging. Mother's voice was barely audible, quivering. "I can't undo the past, but I can face it now." Silence fell briefly, heavy and suffocating, broken only by the distant hum of city life outside, echoing the unresolved conflict within the room. James's voice rose again, trembling with anger and hurt. "Do you realize how much we suffered? Nights wondering if you'd come back." Emily reached for his shoulder, trying to calm him. Mother's eyes glistened with unshed tears. "I feared failure," she whispered, voice breaking, "and thought leaving was easier." Emily shook her head, frustration and sorrow in equal measure. The air seemed to thicken, memories of birthdays, school recitals, and quiet dinners, lost to absence pressing down on them. James' jaw tightened, fists clenching once more, yet he didn't move. Emily exhaled slowly, attempting to steady the storm of emotions swirling around them. Mother's hands trembled in her lap as she tried to explain herself further. The tension was almost tangible, wrapping around the room like a suffocating fog, each heartbeat marking the distance between the family's fractured past and the possibility of reconciliation. Emily took a deep breath, voice soft but resolute. We need honesty, not excuses. We need to understand. Mother nodded, tears spilling down her cheeks, voice barely audible. I hid letters, avoided calls. I ran from reality. James exhaled slowly, jaw unclenching slightly, voice low and hoarse. It's more than the past. It's the life we never had. Emily felt her chest tighten, memories of absence clashing with the raw vulnerability of their mother. The room seemed suspended, sunlight shifting as if marking time itself. Silence followed, punctuated by the distant city, sounds filtering through the window. Emily's gaze softened, a mixture of empathy and lingering hurt in her eyes. Mother's expression pleaded for understanding, and James' stormy energy wavered slightly. The first thread of fragile dialogue hinted at possible reconciliation, though the weight of betrayal still hung heavily over them. The atmosphere shifted when a knock echoed through the hallway. Emily and James exchanged wary glances. Mother's eyes widened, a flicker of fear crossing her face. Emily's heart raced as she whispered, "Who could that be now?" James stepped toward the door, muscles tense, ready for confrontation. The sound of hesitant footsteps grew closer, each tap amplifying the unease in the room. Mother fidgeted, wringing her hands, avoiding their gaze. Emily tried to steady her breath, bracing herself for whatever revelation awaited. As the door creaked open, a figure emerged. A young woman, unfamiliar yet strikingly familiar, carrying an air of mystery. Silence enveloped the room as Emily and James tried to process the newcomer. Questions collided in their minds. Who was she? How did she fit into this fractured family? The energy in the house shifted, charged with anticipation and apprehension, as new dynamics threatened to upend fragile reconciliations. Emily stepped forward cautiously, voice shaking. "Who are you?" The young woman's eyes softened, yet there was an edge of determination. "I'm your half-sister Lily," she said, tone even but firm. James froze mid-step, disbelief etched across his features. Mother gasped, covering her mouth with a trembling hand. Emily's mind spun, trying to reconcile the sudden revelation with years of absence. "How is this possible?" she asked, voice barely above a whisper. Lily's gaze met theirs, calm yet sorrowful. "I only recently discovered the truth about my mother, and you." The room felt smaller, charged with tension, every heartbeat magnified. James' fists clenched, words caught in his throat, while Emily's chest tightened, a mix of anger, curiosity, and hope swirling within her. Mother remained silent, guilt and apprehension evident on her face, unable to respond. The fragile foundation of their family trembled, ready to fracture under the weight of this new truth. James finally spoke, voice trembling with rage and confusion. "Why didn't we know about her?" Emily's chest heaved, torn between anger and curiosity. Lily's eyes flickered with pain as she replied, "I only discovered my mother's secret recently. I didn't mean to intrude." Mother's voice cracked as she tried to explain, "I thought I could protect both of you by keeping her existence hidden." Emily's hands clenched at her sides, the weight of decades of secrets pressing down. James shook his head, disbelief etched in every line of his face. Lily took a cautious step forward, offering a tentative smile. "I just want to understand and be part of what's left of this family." The room felt charged, past grievances colliding with sudden new realities. Emily's eyes softened, conflicted, while James' fists slowly unclenched. Mother's tears spilled over, her expression a mix of regret and hope, as the room trembled with the tension of truths finally surfacing. Emily swallowed hard, voice quivering. "Lily, we need to hear everything. No more secrets." Lily nodded, taking a slow breath, eyes meeting theirs with sincerity. "I never meant to disrupt your family. I only wanted answers." James paced near the window, fists unclenching, still struggling with a flood of emotions. Mother's gaze softened, remorse evident as she finally admitted, "I thought hiding her would make things easier. I was wrong." Emily's heart ached, torn between resentment and the hope of reconciliation. Lily's voice remained calm, measured. "I want to build a connection, but I understand if you need time." The room felt suspended in a delicate balance, the air heavy with unspoken fears and tentative possibilities. Every glance, every breath, carried decades of unresolved feelings waiting to surface, testing the fragile bonds of this newly complicated family. Silence settled, heavy yet fragile. Emily stepped closer to Lily, voice soft. "We will need time, but we'll try." James exhaled slowly, tension easing slightly. "It's strange, but maybe it's worth trying." Mother nodded, tears still streaking her cheeks, voice trembling. "I hope this can heal some wounds." Lily smiled faintly, relief visible in her posture. "I just want to understand and belong, if you let me." The room felt charged with cautious hope, past grievances lingering but a bridge forming between old and new truths. Emily's heart still ached, but a flicker of possibility ignited. James glanced at Lily, conflicted yet curious. Mother's hands shook slightly as she reached toward them. The sunlight shifted, bathing the room in warmth, highlighting the fragile bonds of a family learning to navigate betrayal, absence, and unexpected reunions. The next morning, tension hung heavy as Emily poured coffee, her hands trembling slightly. James leaned against the kitchen counter, jaw tight, eyes dark with frustration. Lily sat at the table, notebook in hand, scanning the room cautiously. Mother hovered, unsure where to stand, voice soft but hesitant. "I never wanted things to be this complicated." Emily's chest tightened as she replied, "Complicated? Our lives were already fractured before you returned." James slammed his fist lightly against the counter, anger simmering, muttering. Every secret only dug the hole deeper. Lily looked down, pen hovering over paper, words unsaid, while sunlight spilled through the window, illuminating dust motes floating like memories. Every glance between them carried decades of hurt, fear, and tentative hope, and the room felt like a pressure cooker, ready to explode with the truth that none of them had fully confronted. Emily finally turned toward Lily, voice trembling yet firm. "We need to understand why now, why everything has been hidden for so long." Lily took a deep breath, eyes glimmering with determination. "I only found out about my connection recently. I didn't mean to intrude." James' fists clenched again, pacing near the window, muttering, "You can't just appear and expect forgiveness." Mother's voice cracked. "I thought hiding her would protect everyone, but I see now it only added more pain." Emily's mind raced, balancing anger with empathy, the weight of decades pressing on her. The sunlight shifted, casting long shadows across the floor, accentuating the tension. Lily's hands trembled slightly as she placed her notebook down, revealing a mix of anxiety and hope. Silence filled the room briefly, each heartbeat marking the fragile line between confrontation and reconciliation. James finally spoke, voice trembling with raw emotion. "We lost years, birthdays, graduations, moments we can't reclaim." Emily's hands clenched at her sides, anger and sorrow colliding. Lily's eyes filled with tears, voice soft. "I only wanted to understand, to belong." Mother's face crumpled, guilt etched deeply. "I thought I was protecting you both, but I failed." Emily's chest ached, a storm of grief and frustration swirling. James ran a hand through his hair, muttering, "Protection? You robbed us of our lives." Lily took a cautious step closer, her voice steady but gentle. "I don't want to replace anyone, just be part of the truth now." The room seemed to vibrate with unresolved tension, sunlight highlighting every tear, wrinkle, and expression of pain and longing. Every breath felt heavy, each movement measured, as the family confronted the collision of past betrayal and fragile hope. Emily exhaled slowly, voice steadier. "We need honesty from now on. Every secret must come out." James stopped pacing, tension easing slightly, eyes fixed on Lily. Mother nodded, voice trembling. "I will tell you everything, no more hiding." Lily's expression softened, hope flickering through her cautious demeanor. Emily felt a mix of relief and apprehension, knowing the conversation would dredge up years of buried pain. James's jaw tightened, but he exhaled, tension flowing out slowly. The sunlight shifted, highlighting the dust motes dancing in the air, like memories surfacing. Lily's hands rested on the table, fingers intertwined, a silent plea for acceptance. The room held its breath, the family poised on the edge of confrontation and potential healing, as truths long buried prepared to emerge, fragile but unavoidable. The room grew silent as Mother began recounting long-hidden events, voice shaky but deliberate. Emily and James listened intently, hearts tight with pain and disbelief. Lily's eyes glistened as she absorbed the revelations, a mix of empathy and shock crossing her features. "I never wanted to hurt you, yet I see now how much I did," Mother confessed, voice breaking. Emily's chest tightened, anger flaring briefly before softening into sorrow. James' hands unclenched, tension easing as he murmured, "We needed this truth, even if it hurts." Lily nodded, tearful but steady, offering a faint smile. The sunlight shifted again, casting warm golden tones across the room, bathing them in a fragile light. The family remained poised between rupture and reconciliation, the first threads of understanding weaving cautiously through decades of absence, secrets, and emotional scars, as the path toward healing began to emerge. The tension reached its peak as Emily and James confronted Mother in the living room, voices tight with emotion. "We've heard fragments, but we need the full truth," Emily said, her voice shaking yet firm. James paced, muttering, "No more excuses, no more lies." Mother's eyes filled with tears, trembling. "I was scared, scared of the consequences, scared of losing you." Lily stepped forward, voice calm but firm. "Fear doesn't erase the pain caused. We need clarity to move forward." Emily's chest tightened, balancing anger with empathy. James clenched his fists, jaw taut, struggling with waves of betrayal and frustration. Mother took a deep breath, attempting to steady her shaking hands. The sunlight slanted through the windows, casting long shadows across the room, heightening the sense of tension. Every heartbeat, every exhale seemed magnified, the room vibrating with unresolved emotions and the weight of years left unspoken. Mother's voice broke as she continued, revealing years of buried mistakes. "I hid letters, avoided calls, and hoped time would heal the wounds I caused," she confessed, shoulders slumping. Emily's eyes narrowed, a mix of hurt and anger swirling within her. James' jaw tightened as he muttered, "You abandoned us. You can't erase that." Lily's gaze softened toward both of them. "We can't change the past, but understanding it helps." Emily clenched her hands, trying to stay composed, while James' fists slowly unclenched, tension easing slightly. Mother's tears streamed down her face, guilt and sorrow evident. The afternoon light fell through the blinds, highlighting dust motes that seemed to hang in the air like the family's unresolved emotions. Each second stretched, the room thick with unspoken pain and fragile hope, as the family navigated the delicate terrain of confession and reconciliation. Emily's voice shook. "We needed presence, not absence. Every missed birthday, every lonely night, it all matters." James leaned against the wall, voice low but intense. "Do you realize how much was lost?" Mother's lips quivered. "I know. And I can never undo it." Lily stepped closer, hands folded. "We can't erase the past, but we can confront it together." Emily's gaze softened slightly, a mixture of empathy and residual anger. James exhaled sharply, tension visibly easing, eyes still dark with frustration. Mother's hands trembled as she gestured toward the family. "I want to make amends, to be present now." The sunlight shifted, highlighting each face with golden streaks, as if illuminating the fragile threads of understanding forming amidst layers of hurt. Silence followed, heavy and pregnant with emotion, each heartbeat amplifying the weight of years lost and truths finally surfacing. James finally raised his voice, not in anger but in controlled frustration. "We can try, but the trust must be rebuilt step by step." Emily nodded, voice firm. "We can't ignore the pain, but we can attempt understanding." Mother's tears flowed freely now. "I am ready to face every consequence, every grievance." Lily's eyes softened, voice steady. "We can start healing, together if you allow it." The room felt suspended, a delicate balance between confrontation and hope. Sunlight glimmered on polished floors, illuminating faces etched with emotion. Emily's hands relaxed, but her posture remained wary. James exhaled deeply, shoulders loosening, while Mother wiped tears from her cheeks, bracing herself. Lily reached out slightly, signaling tentative unity. Every breath, every glance carried the weight of long-hidden truths and the fragile beginnings of potential reconciliation. Emily exhaled slowly, voice softening. "We will need time, but we can begin." James nodded, finally allowing a small flicker of relief. "Time and honesty. Nothing else will work." Mother's trembling hands fell to her sides. "I accept the responsibility, and I am ready to rebuild what I can." Lily smiled faintly, relief washing over her features. "I just want to belong, to understand, and to share this journey." The room seemed lighter, the sunlight softening as it streamed across the walls, bathing them in a warm, tentative glow. Emily glanced at James, their shared frustration giving way to cautious optimism. Mother's eyes held hope amidst the lingering guilt. Lily's presence, once a source of tension, now symbolized the first steps toward rebuilding a fractured family. The air carried a fragile serenity, weighted by past pain, but softened by the possibility of understanding and connection. The evening settled quietly over the family home, shadows stretching long across the floor. Emily sat on the sofa, arms folded, reflecting on the truths revealed. James leaned by the window, tension still lingering, but softening. Mother remained near the fireplace, hands clasped, voice low. "I hope we can start anew." Lily moved closer to Emily, her presence tentative yet comforting. "We can face this together." Each family member felt the weight of years, the bitterness of past betrayals, and a flicker of hope. The room hummed with silent acknowledgement that nothing would erase the past, but understanding could guide the future. Every glance carried unspoken promises, every breath a reminder of fragile healing taking root. The golden hour sunlight filtered through curtains, bathing faces in warm, gentle light, as tentative bonds began to solidify. James exhaled slowly, running a hand through his hair, muttering, "It's strange to finally have pieces fit together." Emily nodded, voice low. "We still carry the scars, but knowing the truth feels different." Mother's eyes welled with tears. "I can't change the past, but I will be here from now on." Lily placed a hand gently on James' arm, her gaze steady. "We move forward as a unit, even if tentative." Emily felt a mix of relief and apprehension, the tension softening in the shared understanding. Shadows danced across the walls as the evening deepened, each ray of light illuminating a small fragment of reconciliation. Words hung in the air, heavy yet promising, as the family balanced past pain with the cautious possibility of unity. A shared silence enveloped them, carrying both fragility and resolve. Emily stood and walked slowly toward the window, gaze distant yet firm. "We can't forget, but we can rebuild." James turned to her, voice steadier. "Step by step, we'll figure out how to trust again." Mother's voice, soft yet resolute. "I will earn my place back, even if it takes time." Lily smiled faintly. "We don't have to be perfect, just present." The room seemed to breathe along with them, the weight of unspoken regrets mingling with a fragile optimism. Light filtered through half-closed curtains, painting the walls in soft amber. Each family member felt the mixture of relief and lingering doubt, aware that true healing would take patience. Yet, a shared resolve began to take root, a delicate promise of emotional repair threaded through the lingering tension. James exhaled, voice calm. "It will take honesty, patience, and forgiveness." Emily nodded slowly. "And we need to face challenges together, not apart." Mother's hands trembled slightly. "I am ready for that." Lily's eyes softened. "We've survived the worst of our secrets. We can survive this too." The family paused, letting the words sink in, the room quiet except for the gentle ticking of a wall clock. Shadows shifted with the fading sunlight, emphasizing the passage of time and the enduring weight of family bonds. Emily glanced at each of them, feeling a surge of quiet determination. The journey ahead would be long, But the first steps toward rebuilding trust were finally visible, delicate yet undeniable. As twilight settled outside, Emily, James, Lily and Mother gathered near the center of the room. Emily spoke softly. "We have scars, but we also have each other." James exhaled, relief flickering in his eyes. "It feels like the beginning of something real." Mother's voice cracked but held warmth. "I will not falter this time." Lily smiled faintly. "We move forward, together, no matter what." The room glowed with soft evening light, shadows fading, as if symbolizing the weight of the past lifting slightly. Hearts heavy but open, each member felt the fragile unity forming. No words could undo the past, yet shared presence carried a quiet promise. A new chapter was beginning, one of awareness, cautious hope, and deliberate healing, leaving the viewer with a sense of closure yet lingering emotional resonance.